Hello, Studio 108 community. Thanks for clicking in today. I'm really excited to sit down with someone who's been practicing Kundalini yoga here, yin yoga, other things as well, but certainly a member of our community that's become just really trusted and valued and a friend. And that's kind of what happens here. That's why we love our community-based lens and how we create and offer things to you, because we want you to all step into this circle and have a place, because there is a place. But this is Regina Loiko, and she is a Leader Lab leadership development coach, professional. She is a writer. She is just a really interesting person. And we have so many things in common in our background that we almost forgot to turn the camera on and to get something that we could share. We were just like having a great conversation here. So we're going to loop back for a couple of things. But I think the common thread underneath it, Regina, is just this idea of life as a creative.
Yeah, it's an interesting life and a hard life.
Yeah. It's got its ups and downs.
It's a hard choice. Yeah.
It's got its ebbing and its flowing. And I know if you're looking at like the development of consciousness, being a creator is certainly like the visible surface level, as well as the underbelly of this whole transitional time. And I feel like this December, there are so many indicators that we're at a tipping point or a turning point in our culture and in our consciousness. And there's so many new and yet unknown things ahead of us that the creatives are the leaders.
Yeah, and creating is a choice. I mean, I think it's in all of us, really, depending on where and how. And if you're creating things in the known space, it might be one approach. And when you're trying to create things that take to the next level, much like work we do here at Studio 108, it's a different choice. I don't know. I'm always more curious about what other people think than what I think. So being in this space of being the one to share my thoughts, it's interesting because I am curious. Like maybe everybody that creates feels they're creating at some new edge, and trying to bring newness, bring new awareness, bring new ideas, bring new fun, bring new experiences,
new perspective, new expression.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the human experience, perhaps historically, there's been some structure and some expectation that has distracted us from our natural creative nature. Like society has certain places and certain ways that we are to be that is less creative than we might naturally and intuitively be. And I think that the conversation I hear a lot is about like, I want to do this creative project, but I need to make money. So I'm going to do this quote job that I think has no creativity in it. But I mean, I bet I bet someone with your lens would be really really helpful at pointing out the creativity within places that even look uncreative.
Yeah, so what this reminds me of at the start of this conversation is something I often tell young women, because it's something I wish somebody would have told me. Make your own money.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I somewhere along my life got the message that wanting to make money is wrong and it's greedy and all of the things, money is the source of all evil. I can't pinpoint exactly where these messages came from, but
it's in the matrix.
It's some idea.
It's pretty well ingrained. Well ingrained.
So I really carried that very, very heavily, because I have a very strong side that wants to serve humanity and make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And I've had the good fortune that life has carried me in a couple different directions, from starting out as a Catholic school 5th grade teacher, and moving through into a pretty hefty nonprofit career where I was creating and affecting a lot of lives. And then a volunteer tapped me on the shoulder and said, you have a crazy work ethic and a lot of good ideas, and I have this business and I would love to figure out a place for you in this business. It took several years, and then he found a place where I landed in human resources with almost no experience. I had a little bit of experience as a temp in HR, but he's like, I see you, like, and to be seen was a great value, and we're going to invest in you. And so we did. And so I learned the very traditional aspects of HR, the transactional aspects of HR. And as part of the investment, I had the opportunity to go to the University of Michigan to a strategic HR course. It was an intensive course. It was 2 solid weeks. I think we had like a Sunday off in between. So 2 solid weeks with some of the most incredible leaders in HR that still are today. Mm-hmm. And there I started to see where HR could really be a part of creating the people experience and the people who are creating the business and make money at it.
Yeah. I know. I taught preschool special ed. That was one of the things that Regina and I were like smiling. First of all, we both went to OU, yes, and we were both there about the same time. So that's totally crazy.
Missed that opportunity.
Right. We missed each other then, ships in the night, right? And then we both taught school. She taught in a parochial school, I taught in a public school, but you know, I was there for 23 years, and I don't want to say it was a mismatch, but it wasn't a mismatch. I was really grateful for that job, but also I'm constantly energy, idea in motion, like that constant creative stream coming through me. That job quickly, any role that they put me in there was quickly boring to me, and was, you know, I was no longer creative here. I need something new. And one of the things that got me through is that there was a supervisor who saw that and allowed me to take a position where I did integrative services, where I provided services to special ed kids that were in regular education settings. And it was like a consulting thing, and it was a creativity thing. So I could go in, I could be creative. Like, so within that quote day job that for in some aspects had become not creative, there was a place where it could be creative. And then you can feel that kind of sweetness of I'm creative and I'm getting paid for what I'm doing, and there's a flow and there's a return to that. So it doesn't have to be either or. But is it every single day of your life for every single job? Maybe not.
Maybe. Well, in the act of creating.
The act of creating,
right? The act of creating can be exhilarating. And then the act of putting that creation out into the world could be terrifying. And then when your creation is seized, right, you see people engaging with it, then it goes back to being exhilarating, and you need a break from that roller coaster.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of good fortune professionally in my life. So from the first job that kind of got me into the space of HR and really understanding strategic HR and being able to create a culture that engaged the team and then keep creating these activities, these events, these daily little things that kept people alive and happy. And it's something I like to say when I'm in organization is I don't want to be the office to be the place the spirit comes to die, right?
Yeah.
I want it to be you hit that doorknob to get in and you are energized because you are connecting with other people in a space that you love. You are doing things where you get to use your skills, where you get to grow, where you get to contribute, and contributing to the success of an organization can be incredibly gratifying. Organizations are a huge part of our community and make our community, and without them, communities die.
And really, when you use that term, like work is a place where your soul goes to die, it's because there's no connection. Like when you're sitting at a desk, it doesn't matter how many people are around you if you don't feel a sense of connection with them, if the attitude isn't appreciated and respectful and like all those things, then you definitely
Or to
It's a
even
very, very
understand how this
lonely
piece
day.
of the work you're doing has an impact on the other pieces, like the
Mhm.
connection on that way, as well as connecting with others. And
You
you
spend
know,
a lot of time at work.
you spend a third of your life at work, or more, as I tend to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that third of that's your place. Like, you shouldn't have to maybe go seek it somewhere else. Not to say don't have hobbies, don't invest in your family, do that, but in that 8-ish hours a day, also be super present and invest at work. You're surrounded by the people you're meant to be surrounded with, and you have nothing but to give and gain in that space.
One of the things that I've worked with over the course of my life is this idea of who I work for. Like, when the job in the organization was challenging in terms of misalignment to administration and roadblocks being put up, and like having to figure out, like, how can I be creative and joyful and not let my soul die in a situation where there wasn't a Regina, right? I remember like having this flash insight moment of, like, I really don't work for them anyway. On a higher level, like, I work for God, I work for my higher self, I work for my soul. Like, that's who employs me. So when I get up every day and I'm going there, it's because I'm working for this higher position, and they're asking me, like, even as a consultant from them, to go into this place and to be that higher self, so that that part of my service is the presence I bring into that. And it really changed a couple things for me. Like, I got, of course, in the public schools, the paperwork was ridiculous and it was impossible to get it all done. And it was hard to be in a position where I wanted to get an A+ and do all my homework. And there wasn't like possible. So it took some of the focus away from that and really put my focus on the way I interacted with the people, the presence I brought, the attitude I brought, so that whatever could happen in a position without, that wasn't optimal, whatever could happen in terms of joy and service could happen. And that brought me a lot of time and a lot of space.
And that brings up two things.
Yeah.
So isn't it amazing when you have a fantastic leader that also gets that piece, right? Like, how to really connect with you, how to get the best out of you, and how to elevate you to a point where you're elevating the people around you, and therefore you're elevating your company, and therefore you're elevating the community around that company. And it's so valuable. And where that starts is exactly where you started. My favorite little sayings says, you can't lead others if you don't lead yourself. So if you can't do that for yourself, if you can't find what it is that gets you energized, that gets you connected, where you're making difference, understand your strengths, understand how you impact others, you will have a heck of a time leading others. Mm-hmm. And, there's very common when you're good at a job. So sales is a great example. When you're a really good salesperson, the next place for you to go is to be a sales manager. Being a sales manager is not being a good salesperson. They're very different. It's a very different skill set. But if along the way, as you're selling something, you also start to understand what gets you to the place where you can really connect with the client sitting across from you, then that will transfer to being a great sales manager. But really getting that space. So in my education and a lot of my process, I learned a lot about emotional intelligence. And when I first was learning it, it was this very academic term. And I was like, emotional intelligence.
I bought that book. I bought that book. I had that book. I lived in Lyndhurst when I had that book. Yeah. When that first came out, it was just like, oh, very interesting.
Another
probably
place,
like the late 90s, right?
Yes, where I learned from the experts too. And I have a lot of opportunity. But it boils down to, though, it's not that complicated. Mm-hmm. What it boils down to is I know myself. I understand myself. That's complicated, right? But that's emotional intelligence. I know myself. I know how I impact others. And I understand others. That's emotional intelligence. That's what allows you to get in this place of exchange where you can bring out the best in someone else, You can let somebody else bring out the best in you,
Mhm.
and you can develop this collaborative relationship. And that's what good leaders do. That's what good leaders are capable of doing. And that's why I'm so focused in that space, because a good leader or a bad leader can change your life. They can also just change your day-to-day interaction. You had a bad day and your boss was all over your case, and what do when you go home? You kick the dog, you yell at the kids,
100%.
you ignore your spouse.
Yeah,
it matters. It matters. It all trickles down. And I don't want to say leaders have all this power, but they have so much impact on your life, and there are amazing ways to change that scenario.
So if you take it that way, and you can see how it ripples down into, you know, the people that you're leading or the people that you're co-creating with, like it ripples up too. And they're like, survival has to happen. It's not going to happen if it's rippling down.
Survivor.
Like that's just like, yeah, it makes a huge difference. Yeah. And you know,
we've all had them.
Yeah.
Right. We've all had that leader that could walk in a room and create fear. And we've all had that leader, I hope, because I'm hoping there's more of these, right? The leader that can walk in the room and you immediately feel energized. You immediately feel creative.
Yeah.
You immediately feel connected and excited, and you want to give yourself to the success of what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. No role's too small.
No role's too small. That's exactly where my head was going.
Yeah, not under that.
Yeah.
Not under that umbrella, for sure. Yeah. You know, I think that in my life, is it rare? Not really. It's not really rare, but there were years when it was difficult. And it's one of the things that we hear here at the studio, because this is like a sanctuary. And so people come here for this sanctuary time and talk to other people who are in their sanctuary time. And aren't we lovely when we're in our sanctuary? It's like when you go on vacation. Why are all these other places so much better, right? Because when you're on vacation, you're out without responsibility, you're in sanctuary time, and it's a whole lot easier to be your best self. And everybody else is being their best selves, and things just go better. And like, how important, because when things go challenging in the non-sanctuary spaces of our lives, we want to just sit on the couch and not go to the sanctuary. Or we go to the sanctuary and we think nothing from that place, that sanctuary place, can transfer into this other miserable day job or whatever it is, you know, that's the challenge. And sometimes it's a relationship at home, or it's a relationship within an extended family, but like it's the same story. Like, we're all telling the same story. Yes. We're all living the same patterned experiences. So like, when you talk about that, like knowing yourself as the point of emotional intelligence, or being responsible for yourself, out of my story, like me deciding within me how it was going to go when I showed up there. Like, when you point that out, it's like, let's remember that it can start here. Like, it can start here in the practice. So what we're really talking about is like, how do I live my yoga practice? How do I live my meditation? How do I live the breath work I come for? How do I take the workout and that feeling at the end where I know who I am and I know what I'm about, and how do I take it out into the world?
Yeah. What you bring to the mat and what you take off the mat,
what you leave here. Please leave all the chitta here. Please leave it here.
I get a vision of Pigpen from Charlie Brown.
100%.
As you know, he carries his cloud with him everywhere. We all carry our cloud, and the emotional intelligence piece of this is, I know what my cloud is. I know what gets it churned up, right? I understand that, and I understand when I am churned up, and what do I do when I'm churned up, and then how does that impact the people around me? And so the leader comes into a space after being churned up, they can pass that on. They can choose, even though you don't realize you're making an active choice, you're making an active choice to pass that on to everyone. You know, they just came from their own boss who gave them a hard time, and now they're going to pass that hard time on. If they pause and have a skill or technique or something they use that when they enter that room, they see the people. They know who they want to be. Leadership is very much about intention and communication. And in my coaching practice, when I'm coaching leaders, when they are facing a challenge, I start there. What's your intention? What do you want from this challenge? And connect with that intention. Let's talk about it. Well, then how does that intention show up? How do you get that intention across? And what we discover is that I do scenarios and role playing because that's very helpful to get people into really understanding their intention. But it's not because you're going to go into the room where the challenge exists with other people and then say exactly what we said in the role play. It's because you're connected with your intention, you will do and say the right thing, the thing you really be, the person you really want to be.
It's like knowing your spot, like in holding your spot. It's like my intention might be like the shoes I put on, like that's where I'm standing, that's my spot. And then if I'm standing in that spot, whatever I say from that spot is going to be clear and aligned for me. If like I found this was my spot, but then I reacted emotionally and I end up over there, then what I say from over there might not be so aligned. And then it's kind of like
it's a little bit of a different version of fake it till you make it. Sort of thing. Like sometimes you do have to put on a different persona to see what that feels like. And that's in coaching. That's a great value because you can do that and you can hear yourself and you can see yourself, and a good coach will give you the mirror that you need, and then you can go forward and you can be the more authentic version of that. It's okay to fake it.
I mean, I think
intention.
Well, I think like when you look at personal development and how we're all learning and growing, we all have subconscious patterns, old stories, old ways of being that we're like, I've kind of outgrown that. I want to present differently. And this higher truth or this more evolved expression of who I am is where I want to stand, is the shoes I want to wear. And like, you're just helping people kind of bridge that gap. Like, what would it sound like? What exactly would I say? What's the answer if I'm, and gosh, like if I hadn't practiced that, I'm thinking like through my divorce and talking to the attorneys and like those hot pressured things where there was so much pain and anger around the situation that if I was asked a question, I might accidentally just react out of the pain, which isn't the answer. That's not my highest answer. That wasn't what I wanted to say. And so kind of learning and maturing into how do I self-regulate? How do I hold my highest thought? How do I find that intention and anchor to it? And like me with me, once again, like from my practice, it becomes more intentional. It's a big job. It's a lifelong of learning. Like we're older now, when we wouldn't have this conversation in our 20s, right?
I wish we would have.
We
can't
like,
go back.
Was anyone in the 80s and 90s? Like it was so crazy. And I don't know if it's perfect now, but I think like as a culture, we've come a long way in terms of just hearing each other and being there for each other and respecting each other, and certainly not in the mainstream, in the norm stream. Someone was calling it like the norm stream the other day, and I had to laugh. Like, I like that. Like definitely in a vernacular of what we talk about here at the studio, there's been progress.
So this takes me on a little bit of a journey. So when I was teaching, I taught 5th grade, and I had a very spirited groups of kids and had large classes since I taught in parochial school. So I had 33 kids in my very first year class. I turned 22 on my first day. And so here I am in charge of 33 kids on my 22nd birthday. And somewhere you find what it takes to go in there. But as the school year goes on, of course, we have, a typical class clown or, one who's always drumming up the attention and the craziness in the classroom. And one day I was just so at my wit's end with this student. It was a spring day, and it was like probably the first nice day was where all the winter coats were all piled on the playground, and they came in and it was hard to get them settled. I got everyone settled. And then this one student has to like chime up. And so I just very calmly, I walk over to his desk and I look him right in the eye. And I was like, why can't you just be normal? This is one of my favorite stories because that was a pivotal moment for me in my life, because he looked up at me and said, Miss Fichetto, it's my maiden name, Miss Fichetto, why be normal? And I saw him. I saw that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? You're right. I mean, and I said it, the class, like the whole class was like, she's going to lose it. I can't believe he just said that to her. And I was completely like,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah. Who's teaching who?
Yes.
So beautiful. That's a beautiful moment.
And so I carry that all the time. And it's very much a piece of my
Honestly,
heart.
if he hadn't said it, you'd have carried it totally differently,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Like that would have been such a lump to carry if he hadn't have just said, like, that's beautiful. Why be normal? Like we're here together. Let's.
Yeah. I mean, it's so it that carries me forward into the work I do with adolescent girls in leadership development. Adolescence, most of us know, is a big time of change, and what happens to us in our adolescence carries with us. And I see it in the leaders that I work with, if they're still carrying these experiences from adolescence. And what's amazing is when you can have these conversations with a 12, 13, 14-year-old girl. Boys are very different. I have done this work with them. It's different. They're not as verbal at that point. But when you do it with a girl, it sticks. They start to go there. They start to understand and use these different tools. There's a lot of different tools and techniques that you use to connect a person with who they are and help them be the person who leads themselves, right? That they are carrying forward in life, knowing they have choices, knowing they make decisions. They have the freedom and power to choose who they want to be. Little Stephen Covey quote there.
Yeah.
The godfather
of course,
of the emotional intelligence movement.
Yeah. And like an outsider who can look them in the eye and plant that seed is really, really important.
Yeah, I'll never forget the father that would come and he'd drop his daughter off, for the program, for my girls leadership program, and then back, and he's like, I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens in here, but I pick up a very different girl than the one I dropped off, the sullen, moody, grumbly girl that I dropped off at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and I come back for her at 11, and she is just overflowing with things she wants to share and tell
in her power,
and engage in her power.
In her power. Yeah.
That's what we do. That's what we do here.
That's what we do here. That's what I create. That's what I create. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, that's not all she creates. Regina is not just a leader in the business arena and working with these adolescent girls, but tell us about your experience as an author.
So we've connected on this too, Tracy and I connected on this, where reading was my sanctuary for most of my childhood, and
we're book people.
Yeah, and I just love escaping to a book, and so I want to write books, and I want to write books for this age range, for these adolescent children or pre-adolescent children, and help them make sense of life. And when we saw the explosion, right, what a book like Harry Potter could do for the world was amazing. But I wanted to write even before, the brilliance of Harry Potter, to write books that tap that emotional intelligence in children. So I have a hopefully soon to be published book. The trials and tribulations of publishing are real. It is passion, and I don't think anybody gets into it thinking maybe you should, right? The power of thinking, the power of a good intention. But it's hard. First of all, the writing process, the creating a story is gut-wrenching. I mean, you can't create a good story without it being full of emotion. And so you do a lot of soul searching and trying to figure out how to do justice, what you want to put on page. So my story that will be published soon it's an early chapter book. I thought it was a picture book, but I was fortunately met with some good people in the industry, and they said, no, this really is an early chapter book. The content is a bit more, and the word count is a bit higher, and it should be higher because you need that for this book, this story. So my story is titled Be Brave, Sylvie. And it is about a little girl, and she's in first grade, and she has just had a tough first year of the full-on first grade experience. And she's very lonely. She's kind of awkward, and she's different from the other kids. She's got a crazy imagination, and her favorite place to be is in the park, in the woods, by a stream, jumping on rocks, and imagining things. But she really, really, really wants a friend. She's lonely, and she sees what it's like to have another friend. So she sets out to find a friend by putting herself in the uncomfortable situations that are things that are uncomfortable to her that are very comfortable to other kids, like getting on bikes and riding up and down the sidewalks and up and down the driveways, or playing soccer, and she's uncoordinated. But she keeps trying to do these things to make a friend. And along the way, there is another girl who keeps trying to make friends with her, and she is afraid of this golden girl in the story. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, I want to know more, so that was a good tease. That was a good teaser. Yeah. I think that's like so relatable too. And I think like even the kids that you think have a friend need to hear stories, because their friendship is so slippery.
Yes, you'll learn.
Even as an adult,
yes.
Friendship is really slippery.
The golden girl.
Yeah, and you think someone is
has
your
her
friend.
own story.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you think someone is your friend, and then maybe things unfold in a way that isn't in alignment anymore. And yeah, that's great. But Regina and I were talking about like the creative process and how there's an ebb and flow to it. And she had this experience where it looked like, oh, the book is about to be published, and then the activities that unfolded were like, not now, it's not right, I have to redo, these need more conversations, and the energy just kind of ebbs back. And it was interesting because when she said October, November, I was like, wow, that was just my experience, where like this, I'm used to this forward thrust and movement. Yes. And then all of a sudden October and November kind of drug back. And I look, if you know me, to the stars and the astrology to say what's moving in the heavens and when is someone going to go direct and kind of send me through. And it's coming. So we know that the book is going to come out. But that kind of capacity to ride the waves of an energetic current and to be okay with the highs and the lows of it, like, it's big girl business.
It's trust. Yeah, there's a lot of trust. It's meant to be. It'll be, and sometimes get you through, but you can't just sit back and wait for that to happen too. But I go back, and so this goes back to like, how do I lead myself? And I have to go back, and I've had these circumstances in my life where, and we did it in our Kundalini practice today, where the impossible all of a sudden was possible. And it wasn't as if I was churning and chipping away. The woodpecker has been my constant reminder this year. I had, like, outside my office is a lot of trees, and there's tends to be a woodpecker pecking away a tree, and I got to do that. I got to keep. I got to keep doing that until I got to a point where I said, I need to stop doing that. There's a whole essence there of how am I leading myself, and I am one who will persist and go out and go after things, but sometimes you have to recognize that the tree you're pecking at isn't the one full of the bugs that you want.
right it's the wrong tree.
It's the wrong tree,
or the wrong time of day, or the wrong, you know what I mean? It's like the alignment isn't quite right. It takes a lot of trust and faith in your own inner voices and in the guides that support you. And I feel like the world as a whole is in this progression, and trusting in the process, like being patient with the process. There have been a lot of like decision points that I've been looking at thinking I should decide, and then when I take my breath to decide, I just not yet, don't decide yet.
Yes.
Like there's some holding pattern, there's some back burnering, like that kind of thing where it's just not time to decide yet. It's not time to ditch it. It's not time to push it. It's just.
That is exactly where I was.
Yeah.
And it takes a certain kind of strength to
Yeah.
do that,
Inside.
to allow that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
And society doesn't prepare us for that. Like there's no language, there's no permission really to pause.
Yes. The power
To not
of pause.
stop.
That's something
Yeah,
I
to
use
not
that in
stop.
leadership coaching all the time. And then
Yeah.
to turn it back on yourself. I mean, it was a big pause. But it is the power of the pause. So much can happen in that space. And one of the gifts of the pause is you allow something else to come in. And so when you're a leader and you're working with maybe a challenging situation or a person who particularly challenges you, by not telling them everything they need to know, but pausing, I mean, asking a good question and pausing, you have now opened up a space for them to show up in, instead of you having to push it. It's a cool space.
And I love that when I'm in that pause and something else shifts.
Yeah.
And I think that's.
It didn't happen to me this recent pause, but I'm learning to accept.
It's not over yet.
I wanted.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted something to happen in that space that moves my story forward. Got it closer to getting out into the hands of kids that could really use the message or could really value or just enjoy the imaginative nature of my Sylvie. It didn't. More to come.
It will. It's so funny because you said first grade, and I have this memory. This is kind of an aside, but everybody knows Leah, so we'll just tell the story on her. I have two. Erin was a reader. Erin is my oldest. Erin was a reader, and went through books like crazy, just like water. And Leah loved books. Leah loved like folding paper together and writing books and carrying books, but Leah really loved bookmarks, and so there was always a particular intentionally chosen bookmark in her book. And I don't think she ever got past the second chapter of any book. Like books weren't about the reading, and it's like that was really cool to me to see how books could be just like devoured in this mental state. And Erin's a Gemini, so like, and then Leah is Pisces, like all the dream states. She was like writing them and loving them and carrying them and creating around them, but like
she had her own experience,
but not really reading them.
She made them what she wanted them.
They're very important to her. But yeah. So it's just funny to think of first graders loving your book and what's ahead for that. And definitely, I can see that that's ahead for you and for the book and for the kiddos that are gonna pick that up, and whether they read it all the way to the end or just honor it with a beautiful bookmark and tuck it under their arm.
Or just create their own story.
Find another story about Sylvia.
Yeah,
it's outstanding.
Yes. Yeah, I look forward to engaging with others and the book. And seeing what it brings for them.
And congratulations.
Thanks.
Because it's a big deal. And it's worth celebrating, even if it's not at some society says it ending point, right? Like it's a celebration to even.
I'm not ready to say it's ended yet.
Oh no, it's coming out. It's just waiting for the.
Yeah.
Well, Saturn went direct, Mercury went. I'm telling you, I looked at the stars. I have nothing else to say about it. In my struggle to have an answer, I'm like, let's blame Saturn and Mercury, and they're all going direct now. And
the book's set in the spring, so having it come out at the end of summer wasn't the ideal time. I would have more than embraced it because the spring will come, but it is set in the spring, and
maybe that will.
There's something in my soul that says get it. Work with a publisher. There's just something in me that wants it to go through a publisher versus self-publishing. It's not a judgment. It's a soul call. So see.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thanks for spending time with us today, Regina.
It's terrific.
So we can find Regina on LinkedIn. So if you want to
Yes.
connect with her, you can come to Kundalini Yoga.
Yes, I'm
You
here.
can do, she is here. You can do the meditation to make the impossible possible, like we did today. I think that might be our December
Yeah.
meditation. So it'll be every practice in December. It's a really good one. And yeah, but you can find her on LinkedIn.
Yes, yes.
People Culture, do you know the name? Just your name.
You can find me on LinkedIn, Regina Loiko.
Yep.
Loiko.
And it will be in the show notes. So look below and click the links.
Oh,
and...
plus I think we have my postcard out in the lobby.
Oh, yay. Postcard on the wall in the lobby.
Yeah.
So lots of ways to find her because I hope you're inspired. I was really inspired.
Hope to meet more of you.
Yeah. Thanks for following, you guys. Namaste. Be well. Here.